And it's Wednesday. We're back. They've let us out, and it's me and Claire again. So welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. Normally, this is one of those nights, where everything stacks up against it. So normally I would try and put a little reminder that we're going live in an hour. Facebook was down, so I'm thinking because Facebook was down, the whole globe is going to be watching Facebook, awaiting a little message. We're on YouTube, so we're sorted. And anyway, we're on our own because poor old Ben's got goodness knows what. Simon's suffering as well. I think I actually spread the lurgy last Wednesday when we were on. But it's me and you, Claire, and we're actually getting a chance of just spending a little bit of time planning for those festive films where you can just sit back, just enjoy the magic of Christmas. If you're in the chat, share some of your own favourites, because I know there are so many, we're not going to be able to cover all of them. But actually, if you've got yours in the chat, and we will pick up on as many as we possibly can. And anyway, before further ado, let's get on with the show.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. Here we go, Claire. That's it. That's the intro music. We're sorted now. That's it. I don't have to press any more buttons in the wrong time. It's one of them lovely moments when you're looking at your laptop and you've clicked on the start stream and it doesn't start, and you're like, oh my word, this is just like, it's one of them. It's going to be one of them.
It's fine.
I can tell it. I can feel it in my bones.
We're good. We're all sorted.
And actually, yeah. It's all right. I've got YouTube on. We're on YouTube, so we're sorted. That's it. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Anyone who's been here before, anyone who's seen the show before, or ever listened to us, knows that John and I can talk about absolutely anything for a very long time. So, you know what?
Exactly. We might be here a while.
Who knows what we're going to cover tonight? It's going to be a journey of adventure.
We could go. That's where we got the name from. I'm going to start with some breaking news from Epcot, though, because actually, I think this needs saying.
Like a jingle for this.
It should. I think it's like a bolt of lightning or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was really good because Jack, who joined us in the Waffler's Arms, actually, he came out with the immortal lines of the fact they've listened to the podcast and they've fixed the lights for you. And I just thought,
amazing.
Goodness, we really did whinge about that good and proper in the 1st of December podcast. But I tell you what, if it's helped at all, I've got a long list here of other things that could actually be fixed. I think maybe keep that for January, but if we maybe just tick one off every month, we could end up with the Disney parks. Disney parks will be spruced to the absolute nth degree by this time next year. We'll be sorted.
That'd be it. We do everybody a favour.
It might even fix the Yeti. Who knows?
Might be asking
maybe
a little bit too much. The schedule like 2035.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, how's things with you anyway, Claire? We'll start with the.
I've missed
the niceties because actually, I
know
I
missed
you.
Yeah, you know what? Life gets in the way sometimes, and it's sometimes tricky to be in many places all at the same time. So the last couple of weeks I haven't been here because I've had to do other things. But I'm really happy to be here tonight, and we're talking about some stuff that is going to be great. So Christmas movies. What's not to like about that conversation? And you know, friends in the chat, please do tell us what your favourites are, because we've got a bit of a list. And I'm sure that some of them may be on the list, some we might not have written down. So, you know, John can scribble them on his post-it note and we can include them. But you know what? Christmas is 2 weeks away.
That's quite frightening.
I know. I'm thinking about all this.
I better start writing some cards. Oh, goodness.
I haven't done that. I think I've wrapped one present. I have bought stuff, but I'm trying not to buy loads of stuff. You know, when you just like buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff. I'm really
Yeah.
trying not to do this year. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to be thoughtful about presents and not just buy a whole pile of stuff that nobody needs or wants. So yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more strategic about it and slightly more sustainable about present buying, and not just go and buy a bunch of plastic. I was going to say,
yeah, but yeah, but
but-
and, yeah, but that's the sort of stuff, right? That and certainly when my kids were younger, you buy that, it sit there untouched for probably at
year.
least until Easter, and then get
Right.
moved into one of their bedrooms or into the spare
This
room
is
and things like that.
exactly what happens
And
in
it
our house. So
then suddenly decides a year later, it's like, wow,
why did I buy that?
what use was that for? Like, sling it out, make some room for the next lot of tat. That's it.
Yes. So I'm trying not to do that this year. And yeah, it's hard though. I'm trying to buy small as well, buy from small businesses rather than great big, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Instead of buying from the people who don't really care. That's all right. That's it.
Right. Anyway, how are you? Are your sprouts on?
Not
Or
yet.
is it just
No.
or is it just the way you're sitting? You know what I mean?
I'm wearing my sprout coloured spirit jersey, just especially.
If they're not cooking yet, you're going to be in trouble.
Oh, aye, that's it. Yeah,
they'll be like bullets, John.
Yeah, no, I'm not going there either. I'll be in trouble again.
Don't take it there. I'm leading you down the wrong path.
Yeah.
But have you got a house full for Christmas, or are you going elsewhere?
No, we're entertaining, and so which is nice. I would like that because it's actually it means that I can go to bed when I want to go to bed. I can get to watch generally what I want to watch, etc. So it's my years of actually going and sort of touring the country, going to see parents and things like that. Thankfully, I think of the past.
So I always cook for the last 15 years. I've cooked Christmas dinner. And it's great. I love cooking Christmas dinner because it means I can retreat to the kitchen, and every time someone comes near, I'm just I'm cooking, go away. And I don't have to
top the sherry up.
Sherry, white wine, the nice stuff gets drunk while I'm cooking, and it's great. And every now and again someone will pop in and go, do you need any help? I'm like, no, I'm absolutely fine, it's all under control. You don't need help. You go and sit down in a lounge. I'm just like, like good 6 hours.
Don't get under my feet. That's it.
Right? Yeah, you're just going to stand in the wrong place, so just leave me to it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, no, I enjoy that as well. I've got to say it.
But yeah,
one of them little things.
It's good. I like it. Morgan stays. He's going to stay over with his girlfriend, staying the night before Christmas. So we'll have Christmas Eve at home, which will be nice. And we'll have, we'll probably have some. We'll watch a movie. But
hey, now
which one shall we watch?
I know, and that's the thing, isn't it? I know. Do you know when, as we were planning on doing this show, I actually had this vision of one day during the summer when we actually came around to your villa, and we were busy watching stuff on there on the big screen in that
big
that
theatre,
was amazing. That cinema room was just absolutely incredible, and when you're thinking that's the sort of thing in the UK we don't do some things like that very well, unless you've got a lot of space and a lot of certainly in our house it just wouldn't work. But that was something to absolutely behold. And I actually think, could you imagine just sort of passing the snacks and the drinks along as you're busy watching your Christmas movie on what was
so good
a whole wall, and it was just like it was absolutely brilliant. And
excellent.
We did watch some YouTube classic vlogs as well, which were quite
fun.
Remarkable.
We had some great snacks, and we had a lot of giggles.
After
the most expensive Chinese takeaway in the entire world.
Oh dear me.
It was a good evening. We're actually going back to the villa this next year.
Oh, are
We
you?
booked it. Yeah, we booked it. I think for 9 nights.
Oh, that's
in
nice.
August. So we're doing a bit of a split stay. We've got some Universal days. We've got an on-site few days with some dining plan.
Yeah.
Who knew? And then we've got a few. We've got about 9 days in that same villa because we liked it so much. So.
Oh, that's good. That's the type of
Shall we
villa
be
that
making use of that cinema room again?
I think you need to put the same films on again, though, Claire.
I think so. I think that might happen. But yeah, so
and
what,
and then probably text down the photos from the picture. I think we ended up doing it.
That's how we do things. But you know what? We've got an opportunity on Christmas Eve with Morgan and his girlfriend Riley, and we need to think of what we're going to watch. And I've got a whole list of films that I love watching at Christmas. Some I have already partaken in. Is that
have you? Yeah.
Yes. I started early.
That put you right into the Christmas spirit doing that. That's even better.
I actually I watched my first Christmas movie the week before December.
That's well organised. That
it's really early.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go early with this one and say the first Christmas movie I watched this year, and one of my favourites ever, was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And I introduced Christmas Eve for the first time. So Millie had never seen it.
Oh,
but I hope most people
there's no coming back from it.
Right? It's just the best. I remember being on for Morgan probably 10 years ago. So he was about the same age as me, and I turned it off and it was like, no, we can't watch this. I'm a bit more relaxed now. I'm just like, yeah, Mills, get into this, enjoy this. She was like, what is this? I was like, it's like one of the best movies ever made. Just suck it up and enjoy it because it's brilliant. She's like, the cat just got fried. Yes, it did. And
it's the whole thing though. And then as a kid, and this is the best bit, is when your kids get about 2 or 3 years after they first watched it, they begin to get exactly why you funny, which is generally the first time. It's not for the same reasons they find it funny.
No, not at all.
Then you start finding that they'll start imitating parts of the film during your Christmas holidays at home. Such as the bit where they'll start gnawing on the turkey. It's just that little part of it. And whenever someone's been to the loo and things like that, and it's that whole thing about the toilet being full. I won't use the same line because it'll flag on YouTube, etc.
Someone spills something on the floor. Why is the floor wet, Todd? I don't know, Mark. I actually have 2 tea towels on my hanging on my cooker. So I've got 2 cookers, and on the left one I actually bought 2 tea towels this year. One says, why is the floor wet? Why is the floor all wet, Todd? And the one next to it says, I don't know, Margot. I actually had someone come round, and we had some friends around on Sunday, and someone said, what's that in reference to? I was like, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And they were like, oh, I've never watched it. Like, oh, what? Are you okay? So yeah, that just
how can you never watch it?
It's kind of like my spirit animal over the Christmas season.
Yeah.
It's like, I put between him and the Grinch, It's like...
I think as well. I think for a parent, I think from a parental perspective, but then also from looking at having older parents. And looking on their impact on your family Christmas, I think everyone can see a lot of themselves in Clark Griswold, and I really feel that if ever there was a character that was really built for the modern, it's like modern family type thing, even for the whole bit about going for the Christmas tree, that whole bit about. Joy to the world. Yeah. And it's just like from that moment, and you just it's just like.
So we did buy our Christmas tree on the 30th of November, and we did put it up on the 1st of December. Anyone who's listened to the 1st of December podcast, I lied. because when we recorded it, I was like, no, I've got no decorations up. Actually, on the 1st of December, we did put the tree up, and that was because Millie had a birthday thing last weekend, and she wanted the tree up, so that was fine. And we had to buy a big tree. And
what you trying to tell me there is I missed Bill's birthday, didn't I? There we go.
No, it was in November. We actually did laser tag on Sunday. There was a few. It was
cool.
adults against kids, and we literally took the kids out. We had a great time just shooting it. It's brilliant. But we bought this tree, and we bought a 10.5, maybe 11-foot Christmas tree, and then it was like, am I going to get it in the car? Moment. I drive a big car. I drive a Land Rover Discovery, and I was like, I don't think this is going to fit in the car. I'm going to have to get it delivered, which is going to take a week, and then it's not going to, So I'm like, we've got to get it in the car. So there was me and Dad and Millie, and we were just like shoving and pushing and pulling this thing. And the tree came all the way through the car, almost to the front windscreen. I was like, Millie's like, we can put it on the roof. I was like, no.
You bet you're still touching stuff, and then you pick it. This is a sad feeling. It's like,
yeah,
oh no.
Yeah, this is it. And it was so funny. So I will watch Christmas Vacation probably another 2 or 3 times before the end of the season, because it genuinely makes me laugh when the cat is is all wrapped up and he shakes it. It doesn't matter. It just makes me laugh so much, and it's like I know the jokes. It's like watching a Monty Python movie. You know what's coming, but it still makes you laugh. I
think the other thing as well, Claire, and this is maybe just to make people aware, there are certain edited versions of this. So it depends on what time of day you get to watch it. It's depends if you watch it on terrestrial TV, if you watch it on other places, or if you've got the DVD. Which we have, because the DVD cuts nothing out, which is even better. So if you watch it on the TV, you're like, hang on a minute, there's meant to be a bit there, and it's kids, get the DVD out. I'm sure that's missing.
I think it's one of those ones that you can. I think it was on Netflix, and it's one of those ones, if you go to, rather than just hit play, you go to show extras. You can pick the different cut of it, and you can watch the correct version, not the sanitized version. But yeah, so that would be
sanitized version. Right, it's not worth it.
We are 10 to 9, and I'm all in for Christmas Vacation. One down. We're probably going to watch it several more times, or I will. I don't care about everyone else. To be honest with you, I'll watch
it. Leave everyone else to it. That's it. Right. I've got to say that is the one. That is the one film that actually is a must-watch in our home. It's one that you just have to, even before the kids were old enough, you have to watch it. The only other one, which is a little bit of a self-indulgent one, and actually it's a long-standing tradition for me, and it's a really weird one, because actually years and years ago, before kids, before I met my wife, things like that, I was at university, and I was mates with a lad, and we were in Glasgow, and we went to the Glasgow Film Theatre every single Christmas, and we went to watch It's a Wonderful Life on the big screen, and it's always stayed with me. And actually, it's one of them films that when you watch it, if you watch it on the small screen, it's a good film. You watch it on the big screen, it just takes on a completely different life of its own. And it was from there, because as you're a teenager, you get a little bit grumpy about Christmas and things like that. You kind of fall out with Christmas when you get to a certain age, and then you sit down and you watch this, and you're like, okay, I get it now. And it's something that it deals with so many different things. It deals with family. It deals with the whole mental health part of it.
That's what I was going to say.
It deals with so many. Yeah, but how on earth, way back when it was made, how they actually tackled that in such a beautiful way. And whilst I'm probably on the same subject as well, it's worth just making a little note, particularly for people in the UK, if you are affected by mental health, the Samaritans do an absolutely amazing thing. there's also a charity single out this year by Reverend and the Makers, which is basically supporting the work of the Samaritans. Again, purely to do with your mental health. And actually, they're open Christmas Day. If you're struggling,
text message. If you don't want to talk to someone, you can just text.
Yeah,
them.
and it's
the numbers
yeah,
are available.
and it's a wonderful life.
Arms.
It's a Wonderful Life actually does a lot of that for you, and it does a lot of making you think rationally about the stupid things in life, and actually, is it about the bank coming and taking the whole thing over? It's not about that. It's about being true to yourself and actually having a wife behind you who is really prepared to actually go that extra mile to show that your friends actually really care about you. It's a beautiful story, and if you haven't watched it, I would urge anyone to go and see it. It's a tough watch. I'm not pretending, but actually,
I was going to say that
as Christmas goes,
it's one of those films
I tend to watch. I tend to end up watching myself.
Yeah, I've watched it. I've probably watched it maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's not one that I flock to, because even though I love it, and I think James Stewart is amazing, and Harvey, what, but because it is a tough watch, because I kind of have to be in the right mood to deal with it, and quite often at Christmas there's so much going on, like for the run up to Christmas, everyone's busy, and actually I stick a movie on and it's like it's kind of in the background. That is not the film to have just on in the background. That's a film that you want to sit down and you want to, it's not one that you're gonna chat about all the way. There is nothing more irritating to me than if you sit down to watch a film and someone starts asking you about it, talking to you. That is like, what's happening? Why is it? Just stop. We're either
watch the film.
Yeah. So, and It's a Wonderful Life is one of those films that you just kind of have to be in that mood. You have to get it at exactly the right moment and enjoy it for what it is, but recognize that it is quite a hard watch at times. And,
it is.
It might make you feel a little bit emotional. And afterwards, you might want a bit of quiet time. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I don't rush to it.
No, I can understand that.
20 different things. If I'm like doing the ironing, I'm not going to stick that on. I'm going to choose something else. But it is one of those films that I feel I should watch every year, but I don't. Yeah.
No, it's really weird.
One of the bells on the we've got.
I know what you mean.
Every time that rings, I always think about it.
An angel gets its wings.
That's goes through my head every single time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Go on. You lift the mood a bit for us, Claire.
Okay, I'm going to talk Tim Allen.
Was probably a bit of a low blow there.
No, it's not low at all. It's
Tim
a
Allen.
great film.
Has to be.
I'm going to talk Tim Allen.
Has to be the Santa Claus. Yeah.
Oh, the Santa Claus. We haven't watched it yet. It's on the list to be. It might happen this weekend. It just makes me laugh. It's like late 80s, early 90s references, with the clothing, like the polo, like he's got a polo neck under a round neck jumper, and the whole dad when he goes to Denny's with his son, and it's like all the dads and their kids, like divorced dads taking their kids to Denny's for Christmas dinner, and it's just like, it's so brilliant. And how incredulous he is about the whole thing. He's like, what? Don't be ridiculous. And I love that. It's just like, it's the most stupid thing ever. And I love the fact that it just evolves through the film, and his beard grows and all the clever nods to things that you don't necessarily, they aren't like smacking you in the face going, and this happened. They just evolve. I love the Santa Claus. Yeah. Number 2 and number 3 are great, but number 1 is by far the best. And Tim Allen's awesome. The kid's brilliant. And I can't go through the season without watching it. Definitely.
I think as well, this will crop up with another few films as well. Is you begin to wonder, and it was very much that sort of filmmaker's dream, wasn't it? You get a really a big hit film. So what should we do? Let's flog it to death. Let's make another one. And actually, if they just left it alone and just allowed, I actually think the first one would actually be given a lot greater reverence if they just sort of allowed that to just sit all on its own and just become a real focal point.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult. I find it really interesting because you start looking at how many years you get when you get a real blockbuster Christmas themed film coming out, and it's not very often, because actually I would assume for a lot of these film companies there's a massive risk involved in actually making a Christmas based film, because you just don't know if it's a flop. You're not going to be able to rectify that very quickly. It's going to just be, it's not really going to be a time where a lot of people are going to be, going to the cinema. So if you miss that key weekend, or a bit like last weekend in the UK when everything's shut because there was a massive storm, and so you're suddenly left with, well, that's a weekend's worth of takings we're not having, and nobody's going to go and watch it in January. And so it is a really risky thing for even the greatest of actors or producers, film writers. It's such a big challenge, and I think some of the ones that we've got on the list, actually, I think you've got to take your hat off for the fact that the older ones have stood the test of time, but secondly, the newer ones actually came across being so different and so basically so forcefully out there and so unique. And I think that's the key bit, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I love the characters within the film. So I love Judy and her hot chocolate, her hot cocoa, and how many years it's taken her to perfect it. And Bernard, if you're UK, his scathing attitude to life. I love it. It's I feel like I need to go and watch it immediately, but obviously we've got the rest of the show to do, so I can't.
Yeah, but that's another good thing as well. I think possibly it's probably a pertinent time to put in something very similar and a similar era as well, because you actually look at some of the gags are very similar as well. But you look at Elf, and you look at how how on earth you actually went about. Anybody goes about writing that film, and you're just like, I just the chaos, the absolute chaos of it. And
it's so good.
It's just, but it's so funny, and it's just one of them Christmas films that you actually, when you look at what Buddy has actually, has actually managed to actually portray as an actual character. It's from 2003.
Gosh.
And Will Ferrell just absolutely, it's possibly, apart from Anchorman, because I love Anchorman, but Will Ferrell in it, it's just, you couldn't think of anybody else playing Buddy. He is Buddy.
I think that who is it? James Caan.
As
his dad. Also brilliant. How straight he plays that, and but I there are bits of Elf that are just so full. I'm not a big fan of slapstick comedy, but there are things within it that really, really make me laugh, like the zebra crossing. And I actually saw earlier today some TikTok of this woman and her husband. They're in New York for Christmas, and she dared him to dress as Buddy the Elf for a day out in New York. So he did. He totally put the whole costume on. He put that hat on, the belt, the boots, everything. And they walked around New York, and he was jumping across the zebra crossings. He was doing all the stuff. He was going up to the windows. And, it's that influence that people recognise what he was doing. Everyone knows Elf. I'm going to say that Morgan hates Elf.
Really?
He will not watch it. He really, really despises it. And I don't really know why, but he won't stay in the house if it's on.
Okay.
So it's not one that we watch when he's there.
Right. Okay. So maybe can I suggest something, Claire? Because actually, I'm mid writing trip report. So this winter, if he's not prepared to watch it, just put our show on that we did when we were cornhole tossing and just remind him. I think that would be it. I watched it the other night, and actually, I've actually found a channel on the TV that streams live cornhole tossing from the US. Can't beat it. Just worth its weight in gold.
Okay.
Really is. But hey,
Is that legal?
that's fine.
Is it one of those special channels?
Yeah, no, not quite. They're all banned. I'm not allowed to watch them. That's it. Parental guidance.
It's required. The cornhole toss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Elf is a weird one that Morgan doesn't enjoy it, but I love it. It really, really makes me properly
it's a good film.
belly laugh at it. That's going to happen at some point in the next week or two. But yeah,
it's another one as well, though, Claire. I know you're saying about this. There are certain films that people can't watch, and I think the other one that, again, as I was researching for the show, surprised at how many people find Polar Express a very difficult watch. Yeah, a really difficult watch, and one that they find they find it quite a scary experience to actually see it, and I don't quite know why.
Yeah, I've heard
because I
people who can't watch it.
I really enjoy it. Yeah,
there's something about the animation style. I think that it's not quite motion capture, but it's also not quite animation. And I think there's something about the style of animation that they utilized. And like, let's face it, Polar Express has an amazing soundtrack. It's just a beautiful film, and the story is awesome, and it really does make, if you've got small people who are questioning the validity of the Christmas thing,
or bigger people to watch. Or bigger people again, right? I think it really takes you back there. Yeah, I've
played and sung the soundtrack several times, and it's just gorgeous. It's such beautiful music, and apart from Hot Choc, which is just a bit annoying, I've seen that they've got a live Polar Express experience that goes out of Euston Station in London at the moment. That goes through like for November and December. You can go and you can board the Polar Express. You have to wear pajamas. You have your ticket, and the train conductor punches your name in the ticket in the little circles and all of that stuff.
Wow!
It's really, really cool, and they serve you hot chocolate, and the cars come dancing down the train, and apparently it's really special. The videos that I've seen of it. And
I'll tell you one thing. Every time I get a train out of Euston, it's always late or it's cancelled. So it'd be doing well, like So that's it.
Yeah, there's never any hot chocolate on the trains I get from Euston. You're lucky.
No way.
If you find a seat. But I think that it's just a bit strange, the animation style, and the facial capture is a bit odd.
I also think some of the subject matter is actually that whole thing about being on your own as a child, and and I think that probably is why it probably triggers a lot, in the wrong way for certain people.
Yeah, maybe so.
And doesn't give that memory of childhood Christmases that possibly they experienced when they were on their own. Don't know. I'm making that up as I go along, but that's
all of this isn't
the way I kind of think of it.
We have no script to work to tonight. We're just chatting.
See there you go.
I am going to throw in there one that I have already watched, and I waited until nobody else was at home, and that was last Friday. I think Dan went to the cinema to see. I think it was like Gladiator 2 or something long. Not my style. Millie was asleep. And I can't remember what I was doing, but I was like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pour a glass of Baileys and watch The Holiday.
Oh, there you go.
And so it was Jude Law o'clock, and everything in the world was good. So it was good.
Lovely description.
I love The Holiday. So I think I probably have watched it more than 50 times easily. I know most of the script, and it's one of those films that for me it it's like quirky because it's kind of Christmas, kind of not Christmas, but it happens at Christmas, a bit like some other films that we will talk about. It takes place at Christmas and over Christmas, but the subject isn't about Christmas. It's the story of the people that are in the film, and you know the love story, the not love story, the you know, the amazing love of Arthur, and you know the kindness and compassion that Kate Winslet's character shows him. I love the fact that she acts like his physiotherapist when he's in the pool and she's making him walk, and she's like sliding he's trying to take a few steps and she slides the walker away a bit further and then a bit further. I've done that to many patients over many years. I'm like, go on, that's the physio in you doing that bit. I love it. It really makes me giggle, and the whole Jack Black scene where they're in what is effectively blockbuster movies, and he's singing all the theme songs at her, and you know, all of that stuff. It's so quirky, and you know, they've got a little bit of Hanukkah thrown in there, and then this story about unrequited love and her realizing that actually she's worth more than that is just brilliant. And it's such a great film, and there is a feel good payoff at the end. But you go through a bit of upset and trauma to get there. You know, Jude Law is a widower and he's not happy, and you know, his kids are amazing, and Cameron Diaz is messed up. But it all works out, you hope, for the future. The soundtrack again is also excellent, and I think that's one of the things I like about it. But I heard
that's what I've just put up here, because actually a lot of the music is Hans Zimmer as well, isn't it? Again, when you go down that route of a film soundtrack, you're obviously onto quite a thing in itself.
And I had an interview recently with Jude Law. I think he was on Radio 2, he was Oval, and he was talking about the cottage. So if anyone's seen The Holiday, there's this beautiful cottage in the Cotswolds, which is in the middle of a field of snow, and it's like this classic British, quintessential small, like 2-bedroom British cottage with an open fire and all of this. So he was saying that the director couldn't find exactly what she wanted as this cottage. So they hired a field, and they had the set crew build it. So the exterior was a set that they built to look like a house. All the interiors, and this broke my heart, were filmed in LA. So you see the door open of this cottage. That
bubbles burst then, isn't it? You know.
And then everything else inside that cottage, that snowy cottage in the middle of the field in the Cotswolds, where, you know, it's like freezing cold but warm inside, and the dog and all of that. No, that's in LA, and a soundstage. I was like, wow, completely ruined my life though. But that's it. That is. But now that's what I think of, which is disappointing. I love the bit where she's driving and she's in like a Mini Cooper driving down a country lane, which for us is completely normal, and she's like wincing and squirming like this as she's going down the road as the lorry's coming towards her. And then she goes into what would be like the corner. That's
a general day on the road for me, Claire. That's it,
normal, right? Yeah, I bet. And then she goes into what must be like the cost cutter, the posh cost cutter in the local village, and she's buying like bottles of wine and bread. And the woman's like, "Oh, somebody's having a party." It's just like, oh, the red wine. That we've all been there. We've all gone to the shop and bought more than we probably should, and thinking this is just for me.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I love it. The Holiday is one of
that's a good
top
call.
5 films of all time, not just Christmas films.
Oh, now we're raising the bar completely.
Go on, John. Where are you going?
I'm gonna go with one that isn't an out and out Christmas film.
Oh, right? Are you talking Die Hard?
No, I'm actually going to go with When Harry Met Sally, which again goes into top films of all time, whereas it isn't advertised as a Christmas film. Yet when in a little bit of Carousel of Progress kind of way, they've been really clever in how they've actually made that film, because loads and loads of the different scenes within it either take up Thanksgiving, middle of summer, Easter. It dots its way through the year, so it doesn't become associated to one particular time of year. However, that bit as it leads towards New Year and having had a miserable Christmas, and how that bit of it is that just wonderful coming together, and when Harry actually realizes he wants to be with Sally for the rest of his life, and he wants that moment to start right now, and that for me is just like, again, it wasn't until I was thinking about this show and I'm thinking that for me is one of the greatest Christmassy films, but it's not Christmassy and it isn't advertised as a Christmas film, but actually
it's not about Christmas. It just has,
and it just all kind of pieces together and things like that. So that's one mention. Another one I would mention is Gremlins, which again is not a very popular sort of thought.
Actually. I had that on my
really,
on my
I missed
list.
that.
Yeah, I had that on my B list of great. I love Gremlins.
Yeah, there you go.
Millie's never seen
thank you,
it.
Sam. There you go. I thought
maybe this is the year to introduce her to Gremlins. Not actual Gremlins, just like the film. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, not sure. It is quite. It is again. It's one of them ones for kids. Yeah, I know.
They're not real. They don't look as real as the AI Gremlins.
No, it isn't.
If it was made in like 2025, that would give me nightmares.
Oh,
but it's,
wouldn't it? Yeah. The other one I was thinking is not really a Christmas film, but is a Christmas film in a roundabout kind of way, is Trading Places. Now,
yes,
Dan
I had that on the B list as well. Yeah,
Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy and that.
Yeah,
I just like
love that film
as an actual film, and for a dollar
Eddie
bet.
Murphy at his best.
Oh, absolutely.
The same sort of era as Coming to America, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was that time where everything that Eddie Murphy did was absolutely incredibly funny, and just absolutely it always had a really cracking point to everything that he did. You know, even Nutty Professor. If you want to get the kids laughing, just play the scene from Nutty Professor as they're all around the table sharing dinner. But Trading Places actually, again, another one has such a massive message, and that's the bit always remains with me. And I think it was only last Christmas I sat down with our kids and said, "Oh, you should watch this. It's a really good film." And it's the one film that they're saying, "Oh, we need to go back and watch that."
That's
but again,
really good film.
It's good film.
I think it even got eclipsed. I think back then it probably got eclipsed with things like I'm just trying to think some of like the Meg Ryan like serious Wall Street style films. It got totally eclipsed by that. I guess it's the same sort of time as like Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Lethal Weapon. Do I mean Lethal Weapon? I do. Some of that happened at Christmas as well, so that would fall into that category too. And
I've got to say, you know, the whole of that
classic movies.
The whole of that thing.
Ourselves in all of our classic films.
But again, we said before about they don't make films about Christmas anymore. But in the 80s, they were really clever. So they just had like one snowy scene, so that it could be described that you could confuse people by describing it as a Christmas film, which is why Die Hard always crops up, and we always have that argument, and it's probably a wise time to chuck that into the mix. I know you don't like it, and actually that goes.
Do you know what?
That goes with us from the very first Christmas that we ever did this show.
You know who I really miss when we have this conversation is Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd. Every single time anyone mentions Die Hard as a Christmas film, it always reminds me of Lloyd, and I get a real giggle about it.
I know he does listen back to this show and he watches the video sometimes. And Lloyd, we miss you.
Yeah.
Particularly in this conversation, I would happily have you on the show just to talk about this and argue with you for an hour.
It'd be a 3-hour show though. That would be it.
It'd be an interesting show. We'll do that one day. We'll get him back.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
And Sam has just mentioned Jingle All the Way. Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I can't say I've watched it recently.
Yeah, I'm okay.
It's one of those. I think that's the right one, isn't it, Sam? Arnold Schwarzenegger and
I think it is. Yeah.
I am gonna. We talk about the fact that people don't make films about Christmas anymore, but they do make films about the most amazing thing that happens at Christmas, and I'm talking Nativity. Now, John, as a previous life, you were a primary school head teacher. This must ring so many memory bells for you.
Yeah, I hate it. I absolutely hate Nativity. The kids love it. The kids are absolutely it's their go-to one, and every year it's just like I'm like your
I have
mom.
to leave the room.
It's my I have to go out moment. It's just like
I'm going shopping.
Yeah, I've worked
in wash the car.
Yeah, I've worked in and it's like -10 outside. It's just like I must It's just like
I love it for all the wrong reasons. Like when you there's 3 of them. The second one's got David Tennant in it, and he's brilliant. I think the second one is probably better than the first one.
Yeah.
And then the third one's got Martin Clunes. But if anyone in America hasn't ever watched Nativity, it is an absolute true to life glimpse of what a Christmas nativity looks like in a UK primary school, in terms of the music, in terms of the over enthusiastic teachers, in terms of the kids
And I hasten to add that was never
random.
Me, right? I hated doing the Christmas nativity, and particularly when you came back after October half term, and it was like, and you just knew you got the one member of staff, and I'm just like, no, this is just like, no, I need to just check out here altogether. And it was just like, it was never my favorite time of the year. I give Martin Freeman his due as well, because actually as such an established and amazing actor, to actually front up his character and play it the way he did, without the eye rolls that I always had. I could have taught him a few things along the way of exactly how it should have been done, but obviously that's maybe for Nativity 27 or something like that. But
do you know what makes me laugh more than anything about it is the fact that Millie's school is like the other school when she was at primary school. So the school where they all turn up in their immaculate blazers, and they're like the school chamber choir she was in was absolutely like that. And it used to make me, I would watch it and go, oh my God, that's like her school. And the way in which they were drilled, and the music teacher had them standing so perfectly. I think that's exactly what her school was like. And then you watch the kids down the road having coming out their octopus costume and all of that stuff. That was not her school at all. We had some interesting nativity experiences at Millie's school where I'm going to tell the story. I've got a video somewhere. When she was in reception, they had the nativity. Millie was the star. She was the guiding star. I've got beautiful photos of her. Mary, who was her friend Robin, rode in on one of the teacher's Shetland ponies, who had into the school gym on the back of a Shetland pony, who had fake donkey ears on. And the Shetland pony had done this for years and years. Babs was a beautiful, beautiful horse, and she had done this for years. She walked into, and Robin was sat on her back, and they were all singing Little Donkey, and it was it was lovely. The horse got to the front, stood in front of the stage, and let rip, and out it all came. It had never happened before, apparently. Robin, the small 5-year-old girl dressed all in blue as Mary, carrying a baby, looking like she's pregnant. The horse's back feet start skidding in the excrement on the shiny wall floor, and she's holding on for dear life. And the kids are still singing. They're just singing because they're doing what they're meant to do. My friend Greg, who was playing the piano, I looked over at him. He's on the teaching assistant. He's playing the piano, and all I can see is the tears rolling down his face. He's still accompanying these kids, laughing so hard at this absolute outrage that this horse has just created in the middle. And the poor year 1 children who are 6, who are sat on the floor in front of it because there's adults on the chairs, kind of in the splatter zone. They were just squealing and retreating. It was the funniest thing I think I've ever witnessed at school. And it's that level of awfulness is kind of what happens in Nativity, because it's
Oh.
so, I mean, I know they pull it off in the end and it's all great, but that is true to life in terms of the UK junior
Yeah.
school, primary school Nativity experience. You know, kids wanting to be in it, creating extra roles that never existed. I love it. I love that. I particularly like "Life Is Really Cool in Nazareth" song, which really makes me giggle. I think it's one of those things. If you're not from the UK, watch it, because it will give you an insight into what happens here.
I was just thinking that, Claire, because actually I think originally it was made by the BBC. It's a BBC film.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it might have had very limited release across in the States and things like that. So yeah,
I can't imagine
it
why
must be
anyone
about
in the US would want to watch it, but it
yeah,
is
yeah,
really funny.
but it must be on some streaming service somewhere.
It'll be on BBC
So-
iPlayer, I'm sure.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you can't get it in the States, then have a look on Netflix, or have a look on Paramount Plus or whatever, because I'm sure it must be there somewhere, because
I
it
apologise if
actually
you don't like it, but it makes me
yeah, but it's too close to home for. I've actually seen I've actually seen the real version, and it's not pretty at all. Like, you know, it's just like you're just like
too much.
yeah.
PTSD moment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's probably exactly what it is. I think, you know, you just it takes you back to a time and a place where you're just like, oh my word, or you get a letter in from a parent, like
Why was my child not
why-
Mary?
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Really?
Oh
That's
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's just like, and I learned
Yeah.
that that's probably in the first 2 or 3 years of doing it, and then you get a little bit experience, and you just think, okay, so this time we'll have 25 Marys, because actually that makes it fair. Yeah.
Pass the baby round. It'll be
It's just
fine.
like, yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
it just becomes ridiculous. But yeah, it's
Oh,
one of
dear.
them. It's really good. We
Right,
haven't
what else is on the list?
mentioned Home Alone. Home Alone,
Yes.
and again, that's another one where, you know, I saw a great thing on social media the other day. Is the fact that, could you imagine Home Alone making Home Alone now just would be a non-starter, wouldn't it? It'd just be
You're
a
allowed to do it.
quick text to your mum, you've left me at home. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll come back and get you, Kevin. Give us 5 minutes. That's it. End the film. That's it. The film's done, isn't it? Whereas in that day and age, there was no mobile phones, and so hence the reason you can
1990
actually
it was built.
Yeah.
Made.
and actually kids have to have an understanding of that. That's actually how things used to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we didn't have the ability to just phone up and go, oh, by the way, I'm
Yeah.
not in the car. Where are you?
Yeah.
But it's a good film.
It is
Really
a great
good film.
Joe Pesci and Martin Stern,
Yeah.
the bad guys.
Yeah.
They're very good. Again, it's a bit slapstick. That's not always my bag, but I do like Home Alone, and I you know, the way in which the story is constructed, and the savviness of Macaulay Culkin in terms of, you know, the heating up the iron and all, you know, it's a bit like it's like a human Tom and Jerry movie. It's kind of how it is in my
I was thinking that it's a bit. It has such a nod back towards sort of that slapstick sort of Charlie Chaplin silent movie stuff, because a lot of it was all in the setup, and as a viewer, you're completely the one who's being sold the setup. It's the baddies who are not aware of it, and you're an
observer.
But you know what's happening before it happens, which I actually think is a really clever way of actually making you just become so much more involved in the film, because you're like, no, they can't be that stupid. They can't. No.
They are.
Oh.
And the ice on the steps and all of the things that happen. Yeah, it's the electrified door.
Absolutely
handle.
brilliant. And
It's
just
so good. Wendy
Just-
says she's already watched it several times this season.
well done, Wendy. Yeah. I actually think that's. I think that will be my one after the show. I think I've actually got to go and put that on because actually,
it's one to watch this weekend, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, I'm gonna throw in one that I watched a couple of years ago for the first time, but actually is really good, and holds a little bit of a slightly dark, but not dark, which is Last Christmas. I don't know if you've seen that. Emilia Clarke.
No. In fact, I have seen it, right? And I'm sure this is the one that about 3 or 4 years ago I got absolutely scunnered for Whamageddon because it was on the TV.
Yeah.
It was on the TV, and it's the very last. It's the very last minutes of the film, and I flicked through the TV, and it came on, and I think we're about the 18th or 19th of December.
Oh no, you've done well.
I got absolutely scunnered by it. So hence the reason any mention of anything to do with Last Christmas just doesn't happen. So it's just like, Whamageddon.
I was out of Whamageddon and also Harkageddon, which is the Hark the Herald Angels Sing version of it, by the 4th of December this year. But Last Christmas, Emilia Clarke. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it completely. So just do something else for a minute. Basically, she strikes up a friendship and falls in love with a man who turns out not to be real. And she had received his heart as a heart transplant the year before. So Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart is the actual story.
Yeah.
And you find out, a bit like Sixth Sense, you find out in the end that he's not alive. It's a great film. It's a really great film.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of it. You know, they've obviously taken that line of the song and then gone, oh, what can we do with this? Sounds like it was one of those ideas that probably came up after a few too many drinks in the pub. And gone, oh, let's make a film out of this. No one's done this before. What about that line? Yeah. Let's make a film about heart transplant. But actually, it's a great film, and I think Emilia Clarke's awesome in it. So, yeah. It's just a slightly newer film that perhaps, and the other
Emma Thompson's in it as well, isn't she? So yeah.
So
again,
the other Christmassy film that I've watched this year, not at Christmas, was The Holdovers, and I actually watched this on the flight on the way to America in the summer, which is Paul Giamatti. Came out at the end of last year, where he plays the grumpy teacher at a boarding school in America, who is the person who gets left to look after the boarders who don't go home. And so he ends up staying at school over Christmas with a couple of boarders and also the school cook. And they have some fun, you know, it's all, he's really angry about the fact that he's the person that ends up holding over at Christmas with these kids. And they're dysfunctional kids and they can't go home, and he's, you know, curmudgeon-y old man. And he thaws, and the cook and him strike up a friendship, and they go for days out. And it's a really lovely film. It's a clever film. It's like you need to listen and you need to think. And Paul Giamatti's amazing. It's worth watching. It's one of those ones that if you're not sure what to watch, put it on. It's totally okay for family. And
I've not seen it, but it's one though, Claire, that actually the reviews of it actually are very, very favourable, and actually that is really unusual for it's 2023, isn't it? So for a newish film, that's quite unusual for people to actually be that.
It doesn't feel new.
Positive about it. Yeah.
It feels like it was done. It's obviously got a little bit of a throwback vibe to it, and it's set, you know, not in current time. It feels a little bit like I'm trying to think. Some of those films that are sort of set in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, I've got a little trail. Yeah, it's got a little hint of like a John Hughes kind of styley film.
Yeah, that's exactly
about it and
it's a
things.
Real thinking film, but it's not hard work.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I say I don't tend to watch any of the in-flight entertainment on planes. I'm not someone who just sits there staring in front of me, but I tend not to watch movies. I don't know what. I think it's because when Millie was small, I get like quarter of the way through it, and then I'd have to do something, so I just got distracted. I tend to, if I'm going to watch something, I'll watch them on my phone, or I'll listen to music or something, rather than watching lots of movies, where I know there are some people who just like watch back-to-back films on the plane. But I did make the effort to watch this, and I really enjoyed it, actually, even though I wasn't 100% concentrating all the way through. So I think it might be one that I revisit. Maybe feels like an ironing movie for me.
It's a long film though as well. It's over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Which again, if you're not that way inclined, might be an issue. However, I don't know. This appeals to me.
It's a good one.
I've not seen it.
It's very different hopefully to anything else we've talked about.
Yeah, and when we do this show next year, we'll be able to come back and say, by the way, anyone who watched the Holdovers, what did you make of it? I think that's going to go on my little post-it note for next year already.
Right, excellent.
And I think that'd be it'd be an interesting one. If you're listening to this and you're watching this,
what do you think?
This is the one film. Let us know what you think of it, because actually I think this could be something just completely different than probably, I would assume, probably 99% of people have not seen before. So
go watch it and tell us what you think.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That
Sam has mentioned something in the chat that we haven't talked about, and I'm aware of the time, so I'm going to start throwing some rapid fire in.
Go on,
The Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Do we all watch The Grinch? I love The Grinch. Grinch is my other spirit animal alongside Chevy Chase in National Lampoon. Clark Griswold / The Grinch. There's a quote which is where the Grinch says, "Am I just eating because I'm bored?" I think everyone feels like that at Christmas at some point. You know, I love like Jim Carrey is outstanding. That was like the top of his, you know, career at that moment. It certainly eclipsed like Mr. Popper's Penguins or whatever it was, and I think that he's so good, and he really brings that Dr. Seuss book to life, and I think it is a great film. It's a bit weird, but then Dr. Seuss tends to be a bit weird. I'm all for it, actually.
What, the film or just being weird?
Both. There's a place for both. But yeah, I like it. I've tried to do Millie's hair like Cindy Lou many times and failed.
Oh, cool.
You know.
Yeah.
I do like The Grinch, definitely.
And again, another film where either people, it's a bit of a Marmite one, isn't it? People love it.
Is. Yeah.
Love it, or they completely hate it and they just leave it alone and things like that. So
that's like The Nightmare Before Christmas for me as well.
Yeah. I'm looking at your list though, Claire, and we've missed one that actually I really feel is perhaps more classic, and we you know, I think Miracle on 34th Street. I've watched probably about 10 years ago for the first time, and actually when you watch the original version and then you watch the updated version, and then you can't make your mind up about which one is the best one. That I tend to go with the original one. But again, what a beautifully constructed bit of film, and you're just like, again, you're watching something and you're just like, this is how does somebody put a film like this together and actually have the actual ability to actually sell it, to get it made. I just, it's beautiful. It really is. It really, it's one of them ones that you actually, it really does sort of stir the hardest part of your inner Scrooge self into being. Is like, nah, this is it. We've got to go on the Christmas side of it. And actually, it's a beautifully done, beautiful film. It really is.
It is. It definitely is. You know, there are other things. You just mentioned Scrooge, and that makes me think immediately of Bill Murray and Scrooged.
Yeah.
Which is a film from the, I guess, 90s again.
Yeah.
I'm just having a quick look to see when it was. 1988.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, dear me. I would have been about 5 years out if someone had asked me for a year on that.
I've gone early 90s. I've gone like 92, 93.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scrooge. That was a great film. Not a family-friendly one, but it's also a good film.
Yeah.
On the list, I also put down A Charlie Brown Christmas. For me,
can't go wrong with Charlie. Can't go wrong with Charlie
the
Brown
soundtrack to Charlie Brown Christmas is just incredible. I listen
Yeah.
to the soundtrack regularly actually over Christmas. Charlie Brown is one of those things that was a real American thing. It's not something that really made it in the UK particularly well. I remember like Peanuts cartoons and stuff like that, but Charlie Brown is not necessarily something that was particularly popular, and certainly not recently. Whereas I understand
It
from
depended though, because if you knew where to watch it,
yeah,
it was always on the TV. And actually, I've got to say, a lot of my, a lot of my sort of humor and a lot of my sort of understanding of American humor
comes from
come from that and watching like Harold
Yeah.
Lloyd and things like that.
Cheers.
It's just absolutely, well, that goes without saying, but yeah. But there's something about Charlie Brown, and again, going back to the school bit, I never ever wanted to be that school teacher that was, that would just
yeah,
because
I know.
because I've worked with people like that,
Yeah.
and I've actually watched lessons where somebody just sounds like that to it. They sound like that to me, but
Well,
they probably sound
like to kids,
exactly like that to a child as well, and that is, the observation that goes on with a lot of that Charlie Brown,
Yeah,
just
it's clever.
not just the animation, but the actual storytelling is
Yeah.
quite something else.
I
Really
would say
is.
that without fail, all of my friends who are American or now live in America love Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those films that, and I know Wendy's just said it's one of her favourite of all time favourites. It's one of those films that is really well loved and looked after and cared for.
Yeah.
But I say the soundtrack for me just is one of those things that just will always make me nostalgic and think about Christmas. What else is on my list? Love Actually, bit of Richard Curtis at his best.
Yeah.
I
I can take a lead. I can see. Yeah, I know why it's
it's not one of my favourites. I put it on the list because I know that friend of the show, Jason Knapp, adores Love Actually. Like he can quote the whole damn film.
Wow.
Like, start to finish. And we've had many a conversation about it. And I did a couple of years ago. I was going over for Christmas, and I was in London, and I went to Fortnum and Mason, which is obviously this beautiful department store in London. And Jason really likes tea. And so I went to Fortnum and Mason, and there is a thing at F&M where you can create your own tea blend. And I swear to you, this thing was like that Rowan Atkinson moment in Love Actually. So and it really I videoed it, and I made Jason a tea blend to take over to him for Christmas, and I videoed the whole thing. And so like I picked the teas, and then there was like these flowers that went in it, and then they measured it all out, and they put it onto this sheet of paper, and they were like moving it around, and then they poured it into this thing, and then it was like being wrapped up with a bow and all this. And I just had this absolute image of Rowan Atkinson in Love Actually. You know when he goes, "I'm not done yet," and then he pours in like all this spritz of it and everything. And it was just so perfect because this tea was for Jason, and I was just like, "This is your kind of thing. This is why you love this film, because it's so extra. It's unbelievable."
Well,
I've
got more visions of Millie's donkey at the at the school play with Jason the following day with his special blend of tea.
Yeah. So I do love Love Actually. I don't love all the stories in it though. I like some of them and not others. So I love the Hugh Grant, Martine McCutcheon, you know, Prime Minister story. I think that's brilliant. I love the boy, you know, and the unrequited love of the girl, and it all works out. But some of it I just find a bit difficult to watch. And you know, everyone talks about how Emma Thompson was, you know, Alan Rickman did dirty to Emma Thompson. We all feel that, but I think as a narration of life, it was an interesting comment back when it was made. And you know, Keira Knightley, I think everyone in The Dog has done an impression of her "I'm quite pretty" moments. It's just really annoying, quite frankly. So I think it's I think Love Actually, again, it's got a great soundtrack. I like the Portuguese story with, you know, learning who is it? It's oh, I want to say Mark Darcy. You know who I mean?
Yeah, but I can't remember the name.
And the whole
Yeah.
not speaking English.
Thingamajig. Let's go Thingamajig. That would be far
Handsome
better.
man.
Yeah,
not speaking. Not she doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak Portuguese. It all works out, and then he goes and speaks some dreadful Portuguese in the restaurant at the end. When he goes. All of that. I love that story as well. But yeah, and I always forget about the Martin Freeman. Colin Firth, thank you, Heather, for rescuing me from my brain fart moment. That I always forget when I stick it on when Millie's around that there's the Martin Freeman characters.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that doesn't really fit with the rest of the film for me. But anyway, Love Actually is Love Actually. People love it.
Okay.
I think it again is maybe a little bit of a Marmite one as well.
Okay.
Now,
all right, let's file it under that. Are we going to go for the one we've waited until everyone's been hanging on for the very last thing?
Let's just do it because
and actually,
I watched this when I was putting stuff on the Christmas tree.
I've got to say, even in the middle of August, when we were fortunate enough to be on Married to a Disney Addicts recording,
we talked about this.
We even made a mention of this as well in August. So this is how much it remains with us. Yeah. I know that there's other versions of A Christmas Carol out there. Some are done very nicely, some are done very badly. And yet, the best version of the whole lot is the Muppets. And the Muppets own A Christmas Carol.
They absolutely do.
Like it or not, the soundtrack, just the humor, the whole thing about it. You know, Disney need to do something to bring this to life within, even if it's just within the UK pavilion in Epcot.
Oh man, they could just put Rizzo in the window. It'd be enough.
Yeah, it's just I don't quite know how you would get, and again we're talking about teaching again, how you would get children so inspired to read a classic novel, which in all intents and purposes
work to read.
It's a tough read. However, that's what the Muppets actually managed to get across to people, and very, very, very good. And I must admit, I actually used to do a three-part assembly. That's and it came from a beautiful guy I worked with, who passed away 18 months ago. He actually lives, his wife lives next door to us, but he did this thing where he read A Christmas Carol to the school, and it was really, really amazing to watch. And once he retired, I basically handed it all over to me. I actually did it just purely and I did kind of Muppets it up and things like that, because I actually had to have a few different bits to make it palatable to a younger school audience. But it's just one of them things. The actual story itself is absolutely timeless, but the Muppets just I don't know. I can't. Oh, I just think it is just so funny. I just think it is
like Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Absolutely is incredible.
Yeah.
The way he plays Scrooge, and the fact that he can be so dry when all the chaos is going on around him.
Yeah.
You know, that I think there are like a few moments in that film that really make me laugh every single time. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
The heat wave moment where they pop up in the garlands and the Hawaiian shirts. It's a heat wave. This is what I love. You know, you wouldn't be able to make that now because it would be like inappropriate. And I love, you know, it's just so brilliant. And it is a Christmas classic. I say we put it on when we were putting the stuff on the Christmas tree a couple of weeks ago, and it will definitely be watched. And I know that Ben and Becca aren't here tonight. Ben's not well.
Yeah.
They always watch this on Christmas Eve. I know that that's one of their traditions. So you know, if it's not been watched before that, it will be watched in their house on Christmas Eve. I think it's one of those films that just appeals to everyone. It's not very long. It's like an hour and 15 minutes long. It's ever so short.
It's manageable. It really is. It's totally manageable.
Here comes Mr. Humbug. Here comes Mr. Scrooge. You can't say that without singing it.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
music is awesome. The acting is brilliant, and I love. Like, I'm not the biggest Muppets fan, but I will happily watch this over and over.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
There are things
Because
about
one of
Muppets
the
I
weird
like and
things,
things I don't. So
but the weird thing is though, for a lot of people, it's such a way into the Muppets,
yeah,
and actually what we went from, and this is a really bizarre thing when your kids are saying, well, who are the Muppets, and we end up buying the box set DVD, and then we started looking back on some of those original series of
yeah,
the Muppets, and some of them are good, some of them are,
awful.
they're hit and miss. However, when you come across some of the real classic ones, I think like the one with John Denver and things like that,
Yeah,
the Muppets were just absolutely on point from that bit through probably about, was it 76, right the way through to the early 80s, and actually being able to be part of everyone's home on a weekly basis that people forget. And I think, I know I had a bit of a rant somewhere on social media about how I think Disney have done them a real, they've done Jim Henson's whole company a real disservice, because they seem to not want to invest or allow them into the parks in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's a really sad thing. And I think, I know somebody pointed out to me who came around to see us at the weekend, why do I have Bear sitting on the windowsill?
because it's Bear.
Yeah, Bear in the Big Blue House every week sits right beside me, and it's just like another amazing Jim Henson creation, and again doesn't get given that a real platform, and I think it's a real shame. It's a real shame, and I would encourage anyone, if you've got younger children, the minute they ask, "Oh, what are the Muppets all about?" Don't go for the new films.
No.
Go backwards and go and see what they actually were able to provide, because as a cutting edge sort of puppetry and musical theatre, it was something quite absolutely on point, and I don't think anybody's ever been able to recreate it. And
it is really unique, actually. And when you look at it, I think it's one of a kind, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's quite interesting when you look at some of the commentary around it, and the discussion between Michael Caine and Brian Henson, who directed. Michael Caine was literally like, I'm playing this like I'm in the RSC. I'm Royal Shakespeare Company, darling. I'm going to make this as straight down the line, seriously dramatic, regardless of what other things are going on around me. And he said, I'm not going to do anything Muppety. So there was no smiles, there was no nods, there was no winks, there was nothing. He was King Lear, all the way. And it was
but I think that's why it works. That's why it works.
So
because I think when you look at sort of future Muppet films that came after, I think Treasure Island, I think at one point had Billy Connolly in it and things like that. It didn't work because it muddied the humor, muddied the actual stuff. And the story itself didn't retain that true spirit of how it was written. And I think that's where again, that's like you've alluded to, I think that's where Michael Caine's role in that actually helped keep that complete Dickensian sort of feel to it. It's so good. And I think I would imagine, I know we've kind of started with, I think, the funniest of Christmas films, and we're finishing with possibly what would be amongst, I think the whole team would be our choice of Christmas number one film. And in between times, we've come across a load of films that are actually,
gone quite
just
a journey.
So amazing, and it's been an absolute. This has been a pleasure, and I can't believe what time we're at, Claire. Because
I was like, oh,
there you go. People say we can't fill an hour talking about films.
Well,
but we can. We can do anything. We can.
But John and and I
But-
will be talking about this for hours more to go.
Yeah, and actually, that's the bit that I've been really impressed. Everyone who's been in the chat, a massive thank you for those. And I know things haven't worked online tonight. I think there's been a lot of chaos going on in respect of Facebook not working, etc. And so word doesn't get out. If you've missed the show and you're joining us on the catch up, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the humor and a little bit of the fun that we've had in actually making this, because it really has been absolute. It certainly
had a great time
we
chatting
always,
about this.
but we always do, Claire, and that's why we do Wednesday. We really do. But next week, guess what's happening? Next Wednesday,
What is happening next week?
we're having a party
Are we?
and a quiz. Robin's actually going to be in the country for the first time in goodness
For a
knows.
day or two?
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, but she's going to be
Is she doing a
quiz
quiz?
master. Yeah,
That
I
makes
think
me
so.
think of that Phineas and Ferb episode. Let's take a quiz. That's what's going through my head. Like my neurospicy brain is gone. Phineas and Ferb.
And we're doing Secret Santa.
Oh no!
So yeah. Oh, there you go. You haven't bought yours yet, have you? That's it.
I have. I've sent mine.
Oh, there
That's
you
all
go.
done.
I've sent mine too. I'm
I'm
sorry.
all right.
So
Mine's done.
if anyone else, Ben Becker, Robin Simon, if you've got to this bit of the show and you just need a little bit of reminder, because mine hasn't arrived yet. Just saying, like
mine has arrived actually. So
hey, somebody's organised.
Somebody is.
Mine hasn't. I'm
Oh,
hoping.
wow.
I'm hoping Robin's got mine and she's sending it from the US.
Maybe. Who knows?
I just think it's going to be one of them big popcorn buckets from Epcot. That's what I'm going for.
Who knows
what's on my list.
Santa. It's always a bit of a wild card, the Secret Santa, and we never quite know what's going to happen. But it's going to be, it is going to be fun next week. We are doing a quiz. We've got Secret Santa. There'll be some chit chat, and then you know what? It's going to be. I think we're taking a break. The following Wednesday is Christmas Day, so clearly we're not going live then. I will be.
But we might just decide to just go live.
I'll either be asleep
half
or
eight.
drunk, so
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. It might be quite fun. Right?
Who
And then
knows what might happen?
And then the
call the
following,
midwife.
yeah, that's it.
Just with Gavin and Stacey. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Who's in?
I think that'll be brilliant. And
And
the following week is New Year, so yeah, we maybe
we'll be
just-
hungover.
Is it or is it New Year's Eve?
I think it's New Year's Day. Is the
New Year's.
Wednesday?
Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, well, write that off.
8:30 in the evening. We'll be
I'm
here
a-
at the dog getting on with it.
I'm meant to be in Liverpool that night, so
Excellent.
yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? But I think we probably have a couple of weeks off. But who knows? We may change our mind.
Yeah, we have a couple of weeks off. It
We've
doesn't
had
matter,
fun
because
tonight, and
see,
you know,
it's been good. I've really enjoyed it, Claire. And actually,
it's been brilliant.
yeah,
Thank you
I'm
for
now
joining us,
I'm now
everyone.
going to have to go. Yeah, it's been good, and just a massive thank you. If you've been in the chat, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Everyone who's watched or ninja watched, we know
see
that
you next
you
week.
love having a little watch, but we'll see you very soon. And thanks for joining us. And at this particular moment, this is where I get that really horrible experience of pressing the wrong button at the wrong
Right.
time.
I'm just wondering. Do you know what you're doing?
No, but it's only taken us
Oh, well.
what 5.5 years on it, so
What
Yeah.
happens?
I'll press this one. We'll see what happens. Until next time, we'll see you real soon.
See you real soon.
Now my wheels in. Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
And we're still live.
Now my wheels in motion and my